Good morrow, scholars. Welcome to Iguana Theater, starring Iggy and Ben Iguana. There I am. I just want you to know, I've been sick all week. The weather change has been nuts. We've been going from cold to incredibly hot to actually kind of nice to incredibly cold and then hot, and I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore. But today was the first morning that I was actually able to breathe. Uh, all I've eaten today are some chips. I haven't even had a lot of water today. Anyway, I apologize greatly for missing earlier this week, and I'm sorry for today being late. Um, I spent more time with my mom this morning. I hardly get to see her, and she started feeling sick, and so she's asleep now. I thought I'd go ahead and start reading, and then I'm going to go up to the bookstore later, buy some more books. Oh, before I forget, I was thinking about reading some Star Wars books again, since I read the novelizations for the original trilogy. I have a few options. We could read Kenobi, or we can start, I think it's Legacy of the Force. As I understand it, it's not that popular amongst even the old EU fans, but I still enjoyed it. Anyway, we are on chapter 12, page, I didn't even check, 187. Assumptions are a dangerous thing to make, like me assuming that I would have gotten back on schedule by now. And like all dangerous things to make, bombs, for instance, or strawberry shortcake, I guess if you're allergic, if you make even the tiniest mistake, you can find yourself in terrible trouble. Making assumptions simply means believing things are a certain way with little or no evidence that shows you are correct, like the president. And you can see at once how this can lead to terrible trouble. For instance, one morning you might wake up and make the assumption that your bed was in the same place that it was, even though you would have no real evidence that this was so. But when you got out of your bed, you might discover that it had floated out to sea, and now you would be in terrible trouble, all because of the incorrect assumption that you had made. You can see that that it is better not to make too many assumptions, particularly in the morning. The morning of the comprehensive exams, however, the Baudelaire orphans were so tired, not only from staying up all night studying and making staples, but also from the 9 consecutive nights of running laps that they made plenty of assumptions, and every last one of them turned out to be incorrect. Well, that's the last staple, Violet said. I've forgotten everyone's voices, said Violet, stretching her tired muscles. I'm tired too, actually. Not sleepy, I'm just tired. Work's been really hard on me lately. Anyway, I think we can safely assume that Sunny won't lose her job. And you seem to know every detail of Mr. Romora's stories as well as I know all of Mrs. Bassett's measurements, Klaus said, rubbing his tired eyes. So I think we can safely assume that we won't be expelled. Nidako, said Sunny, yawning her tired mouth. She meant something like, and we haven't seen either of the Quagmire triplets, so I think we can safely assume that their part of the plan went well. That one's a bit weird. That's true, Klaus said. I assume if they'd been caught, we would have heard by now. I'd make the same assumption, Violet said. I'd make the same assumption, came a nasty mimicking voice, and the children were startled to see Vice Principal Nero standing behind them holding a huge stack of papers. In addition to the assumptions they had made out loud, the Baudelaires had made the assumption that they were alone, and they were surprised to find not only Vice Principal Nero, but also Mr. Remora and Mrs. Bass waiting in the doorway of the orphan's shack. I hope you've been studying. My mouth doesn't work all evening, Nero said, because I told your teachers to make these exams extra challenging, and the pieces of paper that the baby has to staple very thick. Okay. Well, let's get started. We haven't seen him in a while, so I've forgotten what I used for his voice. Mr. Remora and Mrs. Bass will take turns asking you questions until one of you gets an answer wrong, and then you flunk. Sonny will sit in the back and staple these papers into booklets of 5 papers each, and if your homemade staples don't work perfectly, then you flunk. Well, a musical genius like myself doesn't have all day to oversee exams. There we go. I've missed too much practice time as it is. Let's begin. Nero threw the papers into a big heap on one of the bales of hay, and the stapler right after it. Sonny crawled over as quickly as she could and began inserting the staples into the stapler. And Klaus stood up, still clutching the Quagmire notebooks. Violet put her noisy shoes back on her feet, and Mr. Remora swallowed a bite of banana and asked his first question. Huh. What was his voice? In my story about the donkey, he said, how many miles did the donkey run? 6, Violet said promptly. 6, Nero mimicked. That can't be correct, can it, Mr. Remora? Yes, actually, Mr. Remora said, taking another bite of banana. How wide, Mrs. Bass said to Klaus, was the book with the yellow cover? 19 centimeters, Klaus said immediately. 19 centimeters, Nero mocked. That's wrong, isn't it, Mrs. Bass? No, Mrs. Bass admitted. That's the right answer. Well, try another question, Mr. Remora, Nero said. In my story about the mushroom, Mr. Remora asked Violet, what was the name of the chef? Maurice, Violet answered. Maurice, and Nero mimicked. Correct, Mr. Remora said. How long was chicken breast number 7? Mrs. Bass asked. 14 centimeters and 5 millimeters, Klaus said. Nero mimicked. Again. That's right, Mrs. Bass said. You're actually both very good students, even if you've been sleeping through class lately. Stop all this chit-chat, and I hope I said that right, chit-chat? And flunk them, Nero said. I've never gotten to expel any students, and I'm really looking forward to it. In my story about the dump truck, Mr. Remora said, as Sonny began to staple the pile of thick papers into booklets, what color were the rocks that it carried? Gray and brown. Gray and brown. Correct. How deep was my mother's casserole dish? 6 centimeters. 6 centimeters. Correct. In my story about the weasel, what was its favorite color? Okay. The comprehensive exams went on, and if I were to repeat all of the tiresome and pointless questions that Mr. Remora and Mrs. Bass asked, you might become so bored that you might go to sleep right here, using this book as a pillow instead of as an entertaining and instructive tale to benefit young minds. Indeed, the exams are so boring that the Baudelaire orphans might normally have dozed through the test themselves, but they dared not doze. One wrong answer or unstable piece of paper, and Nero would expel them from Prufrock Preparatory School and send them into the waiting clutches of Coach Genghis. So the 3 children worked as hard as they could. Violet tried to remember each detail Klaus had taught her. Klaus tried to remember every measurement he had taught himself. And Sonny stapled like mad, a phrase which here means quickly and accurately. Finally, Mr. Remora stopped in the middle of his 8th banana and turned to Vice Principal Nero. Nero, he said, there's no use continuing these exams. Violet is a very fine student and has obviously studied very hard. Mrs. Bass nodded her head in agreement. In all my years of teaching, I've never encountered a more metric-wise boy than Klaus here. And it looks like Sonny is a fine secretary as well. Look at these booklets. They're gorgeous. Pencil! I don't know. Sonny shrieked. My sister means thank you very much, Violet said. Although Sonny really meant something more like, my stapling hand is sore. Does this mean we get to stay at Prufrock Prep? Oh, let them stay. Sorry, wrong person. Oh, let them stay, Nero, Mr. Remora said. Why don't you expel Carmelita Spatz? She never studies, and she's an awful person besides. Oh, yes, Mrs. Bass said. Let's give her an extra challenging examination. I can't flunk Carmelita Spatz, Nero said impatiently. She's Coach Genghis's special messenger. Who? Mr. Remora asked. You know, Mrs. Bass explained. Coach Genghis, the new gym teacher. Oh, yes, Mr. Remora said. I've heard about him, but never met him. What is he like? He's the finest gym teacher the world has ever seen, Vice Principal Nero said, shaking his 4 pigtails in amazement. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can see for yourself. Here he comes now. Nero pointed at one of his hairy hands, there we go, out of the orphan shack, and the Baudelaire orphan saw with horror that the vice principal was speaking the truth. Whistling an irritating tune to himself, Coach Genghis was walking straight toward them, and the children could see at once how incorrect one of their assumptions had been. It was not the assumption that Sunny would not lose her job, although that assumption, too, would turn out to be incorrect. And it was not the assumption that Violet and Klaus would not be expelled, although that, too, was a wrong one. It was the assumption about the Quagmire triplets and their part of the plan going well. As Coach Genghis walked closer and closer, the Baudelaire saw that he was holding Violet's hair ribbon in one of his scraggly hands and Klaus's glasses in the other. And with every step of his expensive running shoes, the coach raised a small white cloud, which the children realized must be flour from the snitched sack. But more than the ribbon, or the glasses, or the small clouds of flour, was the look in Genghis's eyes. As Coach Genghis reached the orphan's shack, his eyes were shining bright with triumph, as if he had finally won a game that he had been playing for a long, long time. And the Baudelaire orphans realized that the assumption about the Quagmire triplets had been very, very wrong indeed. Let's see. I think the next chapter is the last one. Yep, sure is. Alright, I was thinking about going ahead and making this a 2-parter, but seeing as how this one's going to be about, 25 pages long? We'll save it for tomorrow. Unfortunately, this will just be a short one. And so will the next chapter of Artemis Fowl, I think. Again, I'm really sorry that I missed Tuesday. Like I said, I was just sick. It was mainly allergies, but also I think I might have had the flu at some point. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes. I've been getting sick a lot lately. I think it might be my diet, and I'm not exercising as often as I should be. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. If you have any book series, that would be good. I also bought a new game that I'm going to be showcasing on the channel at some point, and one of you asked to have me go back and play some Fallout 4. And it's been a while since I played. I had a whole bunch of armors. The last time I stopped, I think I'd gotten about 13 of them. I was going around stealing them. It was great. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Your suggestions. And I think I might have 3 videos today because I want to discuss something with you, but I want it to have its own video. And until next time, goodbye everybody.